Today, we are joined for the second time by Nasty Ronnie from Nasty Savage. Nasty Savage has a brand new album out. It's the first full length release in 20 years. The album is called The Jeopardy Room. Comes out October 11th. By the time you're listening to this or watching this, it should be out. Great new album from the Nasty Savage camp, a whole new lineup. But a lot of little historical Easter eggs on this album, as we find out today. So that was really cool to hear some of the backstory on the artwork and the songwriting and some of the guest appearances. So it is a new band with only Nasty Ronnie remaining from the original lineup, but there is a lot of echoes of the past and some guest contributions and things like that to sort of keep the old school legacy going as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going, and I do feel like having some of the original band members, plural, in a band can really help a record sort of continue a swan song, right? Continue a continuance of what was happening back when it was starting to fade. And then it resurges because you've still got some things intact. But after hearing Jeopardy Room, the new record, I have to admit that I may have had some doubts. I don't recall having any, but on the surface, I would have probably had some doubts. But as soon as I heard the record, I was like, well, there's Nasty Ronnie being Nasty Ronnie. Immediately turns what I'm listening to into Nasty Savage. So I think that's a thing. I mean, when you hear a new Alice Cooper record or a new Kiss record or something, maybe those are bad examples. Maybe they're perfect examples. I don't really hear I don't really hear the same thing. Really don't.
Yeah.
But when I listen to this new Nasty Savage record and Ronnie starts doing his thing, it's undoubtedly Nasty Savage. Now, the fact that I'm friends with the old band and don't really know any of the new guys doesn't even play into my feelings about the new record. The new record is solid with the help of Morris Sound. Jim Morris just like killed it again. The guy's Floridian legend, which helped create a sound for metal globally and not just in Florida. And that's an amazing feather in their cap as well, that they were able to kind of really just go back to where it all began, as Ronnie talks about in this interview today.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love the fact that they reached out to Jim, and Jim actually made time for them in his schedule. And the window was small; they had to kind of get to work and get after it.
8 days. 8 days.
Yeah, 8 days to do this record.
Yeah.
It's pretty phenomenal that it sounds as killer as it does. But you're right; all those ingredients, all those little past ingredients, coupled with some of the stuff that Ronnie's had in his back pocket for a little while, and then the new blood. It really just gelled and came out great. And I think, especially with a band like a thrash band, I think there's a lot to be said about spontaneity. When you kind of have to get after it and get it done, obviously you can't be sloppy and just put some crap out there. But I think that sense of urgency lends itself well to Nasty Savage type music. And as a whole, it really all coalesced really well for such a short period of time. And I'm glad that he's got this album out and he's able to keep that legacy going. And I think much like you are a huge Nasty Savage fan. This I know. I will admit I'm a bit of a Nasty Savage rookie. I know who they are. I respect their place in metal history, of course. But you know the catalog inside out. And for you to say what you just said, I think a lot of other Nasty Savage fans in the same boat as you will agree with your opinion.
Well, they created a sound, and I feel like when you hear Nasty Savage, you go, or you hear something that might go, oh, that kind of sounds like Nasty Savage, but it's not Nasty Savage. That means something, because when it is, you know that it is. And I think Ronnie's signature personality, and he's a one of a kind. He's taken from all the big boys, but he's a fan of so many different things that some of it might not even be related to rock and roll or metal or thrash or whatever, to music at all.
Yeah.
He's talking about a show and comedians and animals and wrestlers. He's a big wrestler advocate, and freedom, and he's a Harley man, and so there's all these things, these layers of I'll just say, I was going to say Nasty Ronnie, but of Nasty Savage, that I think are part of the entertainment here. And they don't, if he takes some of those elements away, the whole sound of the project is completely missing what it needs. And he talks about all of this, and it's hard to get a word in sometimes when you talk to Ronnie, because he's just like this bleeding vein of like awesome. I mean, in this episode, we get to hear Nasty Ronnie we didn't even throw chum in the water. He just starts going.
Yeah.
And he was singing the songs, kind of. He was rapping out some of the lyrics to the new record. And it's a treat. It's a treat.
Yeah, I love that point that you just made. He is one of those people where when you actually get to talk to him, like we have today on the show, and we've done in the past, we've had him on the show about 2 years ago. When you kind of get to know his personality a little bit, and then you listen to the music, the personality really shines through the music. And that's something you might not realize until you've actually had the opportunity to speak with him and get to talk to him a little bit. So I love your point that he's one of those singers that his personality really comes across in his music. And you don't really know that until you actually get to talk to him. But he's very excitable. His inspiration comes from everywhere. Everything is, over the top, bigger, louder, larger, and there's a lot of thought going on. And I love his sense of humor. I said when we had him on the show a couple years ago, I was expecting this, this drooling psychopath madman, and he comes across as just, he's a lot of fun, man. He's cool, chill dude, and I really like him. And I love the point that you made that, yes, his personality definitely shines through when you listen to it.
He's got really good energy, and I think that he taps into it when he's on stage or when he's, cutting his vocals in the studio. And I just think that he's kind of like this slam poet, like he's this like hardcore poet. Who's bringing a reality check to every emotion that he's able to tap into with a title and a song and an episode that he's telling you about within a Nasty Savage song.
Yeah.
And when you talk to him, you get to see some of that a little bit, but it's not really the same, just to be clear. I mean, he's not, like I told you, he was kind of, performing some of the lyrics today, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not like a Nasty Savage show, or it's not like listening to the record. That's when you want to listen to the record and you must see the band live to really feel what he's putting out there. He's self-admitted that he's not a musician. So that sort of backs up my slam poet. He's like a heavy metal poet. He's a hardcore rhymer. He is telling you, he's a storyteller, but he's getting inside of his head to create this character that becomes Nasty Ronnie for you and only for you, to take you on a journey. He's driving the boat. You're not. So,
yeah. Great character. We did ask him if there's any plans to tour this album. And of course, the story, folks. It's a difficult time to tour. It's tough to keep a band on the road. It's very expensive. So for now, it's like select dates and festivals and that sort of thing. But hopefully this will turn into something a little more long-term. Maybe we will get some dates in the future. But in the meantime, great new album, Nasty Savage. The album is called The Jeopardy Room. It's out now. Look for it. So happy to have him today. Nasty Ronnie on the Talk Louder podcast.